Colquitt is a town in southwest Georgia. It's a town of 2,000 people in a county of 6,000 people. So it's very rural, a very small population. We grow lots of peanuts and cotton, but peanuts is our primary industry. And so in the late 80s, I had gotten a bee in my bonnet, and my friends at the same time had decided, well, we need to do something to keep this little town alive. And we had organized a Chamber of Commerce, but we had no vision of what we could do except try to get industry. Well, we found out quickly that we did not have the educated population or even the workforce to bring in any kind of a factory. We had had sewing plants, you know, early on, but they had all closed when everything was outsourced to China. And so we quickly realized we had to do something else, but we didn't know what. But we thought, well, we need to celebrate ourselves because we're the people who are left behind, who didn't leave. You know, we decided to raise our children here, make our home here, and run the family business, the family farm. And but there's always this feeling of less than, you know, the big wide world out there. And if I had just moved to Atlanta and become a lawyer or a doctor, you know, the grass is always greener. And so we said, well, we need to celebrate ourselves, and because we have stayed here.
And your history and the heritage of
the
place.
Yeah, the culture, the heritage. So about that time, I was going to mystery school, which was Gene Houston's program at that point on the East Coast. And that was 1988. I started working with Gene. And mystery school, you flew to rural New York State 9 times a year.
Oh my gosh.
For weekends with Gene, and people came from everywhere, and that was my introduction to Gene. And I did that for 4 years, but I met a theater director named Richard Gere, not the actor, but a man who is getting his PhD in performance studies at Northwestern. And performance studies is a combination of anthropology and theater. And Richard, you know, when I speak with my southern accent, people tend to laugh. And so I was pretty intimidated in the Northeast, and pretty shy, but I've gotten over my shyness, as you can tell.
Your accent, it's delightful.
But anyway, so I overheard Richard talking to some mutual friends about his dream of reinventing theater, recreating what theater should be, because only 2% of people in the United States ever see live theater. And people where I live had only, you know, maybe they had seen a high school play or been in a high school play. But his dream was to have theater of the people, by the people, and for the people, which is based on the stories of the people, and it's a way to engage the community in dialoguing with itself about its issues.
That was Richard Gere's dream.
Yes.
The director.
Yes. And so I actually screwed up my courage. I turned a screw in the back of my spine using my imaginal body.
Using your imaginal body, using your imagination. Like, quite literally
turned that screw and screwed up my courage and spoke to Richard and told him about my little town. And he said, if you'll do an oral history-based play, I'll come down there and we'll do it.
Oh.
That was in December of 90. And in June of 91, he actually, I think his mother bought his plane ticket.
Oh.
Because he was a poor student. And I picked him up at the Tallahassee airport, and we hit a log truck on the way home from Tallahassee, which was almost the end of all of us. But anyway, we survived, and when we got back to Colquitt, the Arts Council was having a dinner meeting to meet Richard, and at the Methodist Church dining room, and we were late, and so we came in, and the Arts Council had been organized for about 1.5 years because a group of women had gotten together and decided we needed to have some place to get dressed up and go to. So we bring in 3 or 4 arts events, traveling artists a year for our entertainment. And so Richard came in and started talking to us about theater, and he was speaking complete PhD jargon. We had no idea what he was talking about. He was talking about Augusto Boal and street theater and theater of the oppressed, and on and on and on. But the Arts Council met all weekend, that weekend, all Friday night, all day on Saturday and on Sunday, and we agreed. They voted to go with his idea. And we named it, a friend of mine named it Swamp Gravy.
What is swamp gravy?
Well, swamp gravy is a traditional dish that's cooked in the South. When you go fishing at the lake or the creek, you take your pots and pans and you clean your fish and cook them right there. And that's when they're really fresh. And so so you take, you pour off your grease, and where the brown crumbs from where you fried the fish are still in the pot, and you put tomatoes and potatoes and carrots and corn, anything you want to, but it's like a gumbo.
Okay.
And if you don't catch many fish, you break your fish up into that and eat it with your hush puppies. Otherwise, it's a side dish to eat with your meal. It's your vegetables with your fish dinner. So,
and that's what you decided to name this play that Richard was going to direct.
Yes.
In Colquitt. That was a collaboration and just like a swamp gravy stew of all the different stories.
Yes, this is, and it's a metaphor, like stone soup, because it's nourishing. It's taking what you have and making something of it.
That's a great name.
And so we did our first show in October of '92. We got a small grant from Georgia Humanities to collect our stories, and it paid Richard to develop the play and to train us in some acting skills and to do some set design and things like that. And we did not do a show in '93 because we didn't have any money, but in '94 we did our first 2-hour show in Cotton Hall, which is our beautiful renovated theater in an old cotton warehouse. And so next year will be our 25th year. So we've just gone great ever since.
Oh my gosh, 25 years.
25 years.
25 years straight, y'all have collected stories in your town and turned them into performance.
Yes.
Wow.
And the cast consists of between 85 and 100 people of all ages, all sizes, shapes, genders, races. So it's been a great experience, and it's kept our town alive.
Wow.
The stores, our few stores around our town square. And tourism is economic development. And we did our first 2-hour show in '94. In '96, we performed at the Olympics, the Governor's Mansion, and the Kennedy Center.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? It took me years to realize that, but we caught 4 waves, Rhapsody. We caught the wave of Richard Florida's book on the creative class. The artist as important.
Yes.
The wave of arts as economic development. The wave of tourism as economic development. And you'll love this one, the wave of the importance of storytelling.
Yes.
So we would, it was like the perfect match. All of a sudden, all these things, these cultural changes came about, and we were on the cusp of it. A little tiny town in forgotten part of Georgia. And now we're nationally known. As
an art center, and that attracts people to your town. I've had the privilege of being in Colquitt, Georgia, and there's murals all over the place.
Yes.
It's a very colorful town, very friendly people, and that's really incredible.